The 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution is crystal clear. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. It's a hard stop. A bright line drawn after Franklin D. Roosevelt won 4 straight elections, which spurred a bipartisan push to limit just how long any one person can be the president. The rules seem simple enough, and yet Donald Trump and his inner circle aren't just talking about 2028. They're actively signaling that a third term is on the table. It started with jokes and merchandise. Trump 2028. Trump 2028 hats began appearing as keepsakes for visitors to the White House. But what started as a gag has turned into a serious strategic discussion. Trump's most loyal allies are no longer whispering about it. They're broadcasting it. Steve Bannon, Trump's former chief strategist, has bluntly stated Trump will be the president in 2028, and people just ought to get accommodated with that. He even claims at the appropriate time we will lay out what the plan is, but there is a plan. So what's the secret plan? Is it a genuine strategy to defy the Constitution? Or is it something else entirely? And is it already happening? Before we get into the so-called plan, let's be clear about the law. The 22nd Amendment is one of the most straightforward amendments in the Constitution. Passed by Congress in 1947 and ratified in 1951, it was designed to prevent the very thing that's being discussed, a president serving more than 2 elected terms. So in the scenario where Donald Trump wins the 2024 election and serves a full second term from 2025 to 2029, the Constitution says that he is unequivocally barred from being elected president again. Constitutional law experts overwhelmingly agree on this. There are no known legal walkarounds that would let him on the ballot in 2028. Wayne Unger, a law professor at Quinnipiac University, notes that while the amendment has never been tested in courts, any challenge would most certainly fail. Even House Speaker Mike Johnson, a close ally, has admitted, "I don't see a path for that," after talking about constitutional limits with Trump directly. Trump himself acknowledged the barrier, telling reporters, "If you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad." So if the door is legally welded shut, why is this conversation still happening? Why is the president and his supporters feeling this? Well, because the plan may not be about a legal victory. It's about political power, public perception, and a direct challenge to the norms of American democracy. This isn't a legal fight. It's a political one. And the game has already begun. The strategy to keep Trump in the center of power isn't a single document locked in a safe. It's a campaign of political signals, defiant rhetoric, and floating fringe legal theories. First, you have the man himself. Trump has masterfully kept the idea alive with a series of coy, non-committal comments. When asked about the third term, Trump told reporters, "I would love to do it." In interviews, he's been more direct, telling NBC News that he was not joking about considering another term and that there are methods to make it happen, though he did not explain what they were. This constant teasing serves a purpose. It normalizes the idea. What was once unthinkable is now a topic of debate, all while he maintains plausible deniability, sometimes admitting he can't run, and other times saying, "We'll see what happens." Then you have the chorus of allies, with Steve Bannon leading the charge. Bannon's comments are far more direct. He doesn't just suggest a third term. He speaks of it as an inevitability. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28. Really. When pressed on the Constitution, Bannon pivots, reframing it as a matter of popular will. He asks, if the American people, with the mechanisms that we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Really? He argues that Trump is a vehicle of divine providence and that his return is necessary to finish what we started. Oh, I don't think so. This rhetoric deliberately sidesteps legal arguments and makes a populist appeal, suggesting that the will of the people, as embodied by Trump, should override the Constitution itself. Bullshit. This leads to the third part of the strategy, circulating supposed loopholes. The most prominent theory hinges on the 22nd Amendment's specific wording, which says no person shall be elected more than twice. Supporters have floated a scenario where Trump runs for vice president. If that ticket wins, the new president could immediately resign, allowing Trump to ascend to the presidency without being elected. Yeah. However, legal scholars have overwhelmingly debunked this. They point to the 12th Amendment, which states that no person constitutionally ineligible to the office of the president shall be eligible for that of the vice president. Since Trump is ineligible to be elected president again, he's also ineligible to be vice president. Trump has publicly dismissed this idea, calling it too cute and saying that the people wouldn't like it. Still, the fact that these theories are being discussed at all, even in dismissal, keeps the door of possibility cracked open in the minds of his supporters. Before we get into what this all means for American politics, if you're getting value out of this breakdown, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're here to unpack the strategies and motivations shaping our world. If legal paths are dead ends and loopholes are fiction, what's the real goal of the Trump 2028 movement? The answer reveals a strategy that has little to do with actually winning a third term and everything to do with shaping politics between now and then. First, it's all about control over the Republican Party. By constantly teasing a 2028 run, Trump effectively freezes the field of potential successors. Ambitious Republicans like his own Vice President, J.D. Vance, or Secretary of State Marco Rubio are in an impossible spot. They can't start laying out the groundwork for their own campaigns without seeming disloyal and risking the wrath of his base. Bannon himself said that any talk of a campaign that doesn't involve Trump would invite total and complete rejection from MAGA. This allows Trump to stay the undisputed center of gravity in the GOP, the kingmaker who will ultimately decide who, if anyone, follows him. Second, it's about pure political disruption. The third term talk is a masterclass in trolling the opposition and dominating the media. It forces critics into a state of constant outrage over a constitutional norm. This nonstop conflict energizes Trump's base, who see it as another example of Trump fighting the establishment. It's a chaos strategy that keeps everybody off balance and ensures that he is always the main character in American politics. Political commentator Ana Navarro has called him the distractor-in-chief, suggesting that this talk is used to pull attention from less favorable news. Finally, this whole exercise is a test, a trial balloon to see how far our institutions and political norms can be pushed. By floating ideas that directly conflict with the Constitution, Trump's camp gauges the level of resistance. How will the courts react? How will the media cover it? How will Republican officials respond? Every time the idea is met with anything less than a unified, ironclad rejection, the boundary of what's considered acceptable moves a little bit further away. It's a slow erosion of democratic guardrails. The question, as one scholar put it, is not what does the law allow, but who stands behind the law? Are the relevant actors going to enforce the law? So is the secret plan for 2028 really happening? Well, yes, but not the way you may think. There isn't a hidden plot to install him into the Oval Office for a third term through some forgotten loophole. The constitutional barrier is real, and for now, absolute. The real plan is far more subtle and perhaps more significant. It's a plan to maintain control over the Republican Party, to keep the media and his opponents in a state of permanent reaction, and to continue testing the limits of America's constitutional order. The talk of 2028 isn't about securing a future election. It's about securing power in the present. Donald Trump isn't just hinting at a third term. He's actively using the idea of a third term as a political weapon. The goal may not be to have Donald Trump serve a third term, but to ensure that the political landscape of 2028 is one that he, and he alone, has shaped. It's a strategy of defiance that cements his influence, freezes his rivals, and keeps the entire nation guessing. The real question isn't whether or not he will run in 2028, but what the lasting impact of this unprecedented challenge will be on American democracy itself. What do you think is the real reason for all this 2028 talk? Is it a serious ambition or a calculated political strategy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you happen to notice a change in lighting or a little bit of change near the end of my video, it's because we had a big explosion outside. Don't know what it was, but it blew out all my power. So I had to reset. I have no idea what the hell is happening. Oh gosh, guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. You know how much I like that. I really appreciate you guys for that. Give your dog a hug and give your family a treat. Hang in there, there's more coming.